Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly Show.
All right, we are back. Hello. Vice President Vance will be speaking very soon from the White House. And I'm looking again, President Trump in China. Man, oh man, what the hell time is it in China? Nobody knows what time it is. It's 16 hours behind yesterday. It's impossible to figure out what time it is in China. They've tried, but nobody knows. So I want to go a little bit deeper into this this matter of Javier Becerra, who thinks he's above it all. Man's running for governor. You know who has a real shot at it? The way it works here is our man, Steve Hilton. Steve Hilton is smart, passionate, patriot, and I think his message is breaking through. California, could you imagine going from Gavin Newsom, who is, oh, by the way, you know, what's that dopey quote when somebody tells you who they are, believe them, right? I feel like that's a little bit, it's been overused, and it's usually some indictment of a Republican, right? I mean, but, you know, if you put on a social media thing that you are a psychopath, like you compare yourself to American Psycho, which he did. Gavin Newsom compared himself to American Psycho, Christian Bale, the movie, whenever the hell that came out. I remember the book in the 80s, came out a few years after that. You know, a psycho killer who was very good looking and very well dressed. By the way, in Gavin Newsom's book, he talks more about his paper route than any other issue in the entire book. You know, we are at a critical time in America's history, right? There's a lot going on. Trade, crime, AI, the rest, this gender crap. And he writes a self-indulgent memoir about him, his paper route, his sister, how he met his wife, you know, all this stupid stuff. However, for the discerning reader like me, I've uncovered a trove of, highly incriminating information, all right, about him. And it makes him ineligible, and he will not be the president. He will not be the nominee. They're going to vaporize him like they vaporized Joe Biden, got him out of the race. They vaporized Andrew Cuomo when they wanted to, and they vaporized Eric Swalwell. It's not going to be for the same reason. It won't be. I don't know if it's going to be for. I don't know what the pretext is going to be, but they're going to find one. After I'm done, they'll have everything they need. All right. So this is Javier Becerra. He thinks he can be the governor, and you can't, because you know what? You controlled the media under Joe Biden. Those days are over. Granted, they still kind of exist, but. And he sits down for a real interview, and he doesn't know what to do. All right, so let's take the one from the anchor. You have the one from where the anchor introduces it, right? Right. Okay, here we go.
The latest polling is revealing a new leader in the California governor's race. Former Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra is now on top. But his campaign is receiving some additional scrutiny after an exclusive interview with our KTLA's Annie Rose Ramos, who joined us live from the newsroom with the response to her sit-down with Becerra. Annie Rose, good morning.
Hi, Frank. Good morning. Yeah, our interview with Javier Becerra aired yesterday morning right here on the KTLA Morning News Show. He was among 6 of the top polling gubernatorial candidates we spoke to, all of them agreeing to meet with us for a roughly 25-minute long sit-down interview. But this clip going viral and now drawing widespread criticism.
By the way, this is a profile piece. This is not a gotcha piece, right?
Well, look, I think these questions are fair. It's in order to learn about you as a candidate.
So long as it's about the profile.
I don't know how you define profile, but I'd like to begin the interview.
The way I describe profile is you talk about all the things that I've done, things I want to do, and along with some tough questions. But not only tough questions.
Becerra went from polling at less than 5% to overtaking a crowded field and becoming a Democratic frontrunner, according to recent polls, after former U.S. Representative Eric Swalwell dropped out of the race. But this interview offering a rare glimpse into what sometimes goes on behind the scenes, garnering attention both nationally and making international headlines.
The favorite for Newsom's job can't even handle a local interview.
By the way, this is a profile piece. This is not a gotcha piece, right?
The Becerra campaign releasing a statement saying in part, quote, unlike other candidates in the race, Becerra sticks around even when the questions get tough. He's proven over decades in public service that he will always show up, take questions, and defend the right of journalists to do their jobs. Other candidates in this race reacting to the interview. Steve Hilton posting his KTLA interview saying in part, quote, unlike Javier Becerra, amazingly enough, I was happy to answer all of Annie Rose's questions without telling her how to do her job. Tom Steyer coming out with this press release saying Becerra is crumbling under pressure, defensive and evasive while answering this question about missing migrant children.
During your time as HHS secretary, a New York Times investigation found the health department couldn't find some 85,000 children it had released.
That's not accurate. What you just read is not accurate. First, that's what I'll say, because it was never the case that we could not find kids. You're essentially, I don't know if you got those talking points from Donald Trump.
It's from a New York Times article.
Mayor Matt Mahan of San Jose, a Democrat also running for governor, reacting. His campaign releasing this video, splicing together the Becerra KTLA interview with a clip from a Katie Porter interview. Another viral exchange from late last year in which she sparred with a local TV reporter and ended the interview.
This did not go well for Becerra. A politician shouldn't begin an interview by complaining about questions that haven't even been asked yet. Makes him look nervous, makes him look defensive, and that's not a look you want when you're running for governor.
Frank, Jess, ballots have already been sent out to Californians. The primary is on June 2nd. Hard to believe that is just less than 3 weeks away. And only the top 2 vote getters in the primary election then move on to the election come November. Guys?
And Annie Rose, just so people are clear about the context of this interview, these kinds of questions are often asked before an interview begins, typically with staff. In this case, you had already indicated to Mr. Becerra that we are rolling, and this happened. Is that right?
Absolutely, Frank. We had multiple discussions with his staff in the days and the weeks leading up to this interview. And then once we sat down, our photographer said, we are rolling. He sort of clapped his hands to indicate that everything, all the cameras were synced up. And as you see, he says, as we get started here, want to make sure this is a profile piece and not a gotcha piece. And as you can see, the clip there that we rolled yesterday is what happened in the moments after that. But to your point, yes, those were conversations we had with not only Becerra's staff, but every single of those top 6 candidates that we had interviewed. This was among one of the last interviews we had done, all of them airing here on KTLA on the morning news show, and didn't seem to be an issue for some of the other candidates.
Got it. So a couple of other things there. I wish she had played the whole interview. This was a day 2 story, right? You know, you did the story. So she's doing the controversy about her story before she actually does the story, in a way. Becerra's he's bad at politics. He's bad. This is a bad moment. But, she kept on saying, apparently the interview was 29 minutes. What happened to the rest of it? I mean, I heard his statement and I heard her question. Good stuff. But what about the rest of it? I'm not saying that report was fine that she did, but it needed another one that was unencumbered. Now, maybe that exists. Maybe it doesn't. Hey, can we go to the White House if you don't mind? White House. The White House. Let's go ahead and go to the White House because J.D. Vance is there while the president is in China, and he's talking about fighting fraud. I always like that. Go ahead. Oh, what? Oh, we're working on it. We're working on it. In the meanwhile, I got a message here from my mother. Okay, that can wait. Go ahead.
Them to show that they are effectively and aggressively prosecuting Medicaid fraud in their states. And if they do not aggressively prosecute Medicaid fraud, we are going to turn off the money that goes to these anti-fraud units. And I would say a couple things about this. You may think, obviously, this is a Republican administration. We're all proud Republicans up here. You may think that this is purely a red state or blue state issue. That's actually not true. We see Medicaid fraud issues in Ohio, the state that I used to represent in the United States Senate. We also see Medicaid issues, fraud issues in a state like Maryland, which is obviously a very blue state. But both Ohio and Maryland have worked with us to take this issue seriously. They've worked with the guys behind me. They've worked with our entire team to make sure that they take fraud seriously. Again, this does not have to be a red state or a blue state issue. This is just basic good government. However, states like California, states like Hawaii, states like New York have completely not taken the fraud issue seriously in the Medicaid program. And so for those states that refuse to get serious about fraud, we are going to turn off that anti-fraud money. And if we continue to find problems, we can turn off other resources within their state Medicaid programs as well. Our goal here is not to do that. We don't want to turn off any money. What we want to do is ensure that people are taking fraud seriously. We want to protect Medicaid. We want to protect Medicare. But we can't do that if the states that are administering those programs are allowing those programs to be fleeced by fraudsters. So we encourage, whether it's California or New York or Maryland or Ohio, we encourage people to work with us. We want to help you use technology and other tools to get rid of the fraud, to get to the root of the fraud. We want to help you. But we can only help these state programs if those state programs are willing to help themselves. So these letters are the first step, the first effort to try to force these states to get serious about prosecuting fraud, and that's exactly what we're doing. Let me just talk about one final issue here. We see a lot of fraud in the home health care and in the hospice care system. I think Dr. Oz will probably talk a little bit more about that. But again, you have to appreciate that this fraud issue is fundamentally theft from the taxpayer, but also theft from people who need these programs. Just last month, a California psychotherapist, a woman who had spent 40 years treating patients, helping people deal with problems, found out that her Medicare program had been turned off, that she did not have access to the resources that she had been paying into for her entire life. Why? Because a fraudster had stolen her identity and signed her up for healthcare services that she didn't need, and so she had been turned off of the healthcare services that she did need. This happens way too much in the United States of America, and it happens because until recently, we did not have a government or an administration that actually took the fraud program and took anti-fraud prevention seriously. So let me just close with one final observation here. First of all, why are we doing this now? Why weren't we doing this 2 years ago? And the simple answer is because we didn't have a president and we didn't have an administration who took fraud seriously. So I want to thank the President of the United States, though I know he's busy in China. All of these efforts, all of these things that we're finding are because we have a president who has told us, take the fraud issue seriously, get to the root of it, and turn off the money when we find out that money is going to fraudsters. So that's exactly what we're doing. But I just want to say that for me, and I think for a lot of people who are involved in this effort, this is very personal. Because I'm not just the Vice President of the United States. I come from a family, and I grew up in a family where we sometimes benefited from these programs. The generosity of the American people is one of the most amazing things about our country. I think all of us, of course, just passed tax day. None of us like paying our taxes, but we do it. And why do we do it? Because we know that it goes to give a bite to a low-income family that can't afford food. We know that it goes to pay the military who keep us safe. We know that it goes to some essential services. But that trust in our government, that trust in our institution, it depends on us taking that trust seriously. How long are people going to pay into programs if they know that that money doesn't go to a low-income kid who needs health care, but that money goes into a fraudster getting rich? This doesn't work, and this doesn't make sense unless we take fraud seriously. So I'm proud to be part of an effort in our government. I'm proud to lead the effort in our government to finally take fraud seriously. We want to protect these programs for the kids and the families who need them. We want to ensure that the American taxpayer isn't getting fleeced. And I'd say just a few months into it, gentlemen, we have done a very, very good job. Let's keep it up. So Let me turn it over now to Andrew Ferguson, who's the executive director of our anti-fraud task force. Andrew has done an amazing job, but I have to give a special shout out, not just because she's my fellow Ohioan, to Kim, who has probably found more fraud and has saved the American taxpayer more money than any single official within the government over the last 3 months. Kim, you have been an all-star. We're proud to have you on the team.
Atta go, Kim. All right, nice job. That man is an impressive man. Is he 41 years old yet? I think he's just still 40. He turns 41 any day if he's not 41 now. We had a guy go from senator to vice president of the United States. Actually, man on the street to vice president of the United States in 2 years. In 2 years. That's just astounding to me. I love it. The last guy who came that close or that fast, Nixon, 6 years, 3 times as long. J.D. Vance, I'm impressed. Although, watch out for Marco. 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222.
You're listening to The Greg Kelly Show.
This hour of The Greg Kelly Show is sponsored by Abacus Global Management. Go to abacusgm.com. 77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Oh, who the hell is this? Gail, what's your problem?
There are 2 things I wanted to tell you. Hold on a minute so I get my
Well,
dog.
yeah, you settle that domestic situation with the dog, and then I'll get back to you. All right? Hold on a second. Joe, hello. How are you? I'll get right back to you, Gail. You're on the air.
Hello, Greg.
Hi there.
Javier Becerra.
Javier Becerra, what?
Javier Becerra was either lieutenant governor or attorney general, something. He had a big job under a past administration in California. They know what a jerk he is.
Well, he got elected. I mean, they know what a jerk he is. I think you're right about that. He was either the, but what about it? I mean, they have a habit of electing jerks in California, if you haven't noticed.
Right. I called when you asked anybody know who he is. So,
I was just musing to myself. I mean, let's see here. What was that job that he had that was big? Well, he was the cabinet guy, right? Yeah, he was attorney general for 1 term, and he was a congressman. What about it?
Forget about that. But what's happening in Brooklyn, in my day, I'm 68 years, going to be 68. The JDL, the Jewish Defense League with Maya Kahana would come with the yellow buses, and they would kick the crap out of troublemakers. That wouldn't have happened in 1976 and 1975.
No, I hear you. I hear you on that. As a matter of fact, Woody Allen made a joke about it in a movie. He was upset about all the anti-Semites, and he's like, I'm going to get my friends, and we're going to get baseball bats, and we're going to... And the guy's, well, oh, no, you shouldn't break... No, I'm writing an op-ed, a devastating op-ed for the New York Times, and Woody Allen's like, yeah, an op-ed is great, but a baseball bat really gets the message across. Yeah, Joe, thank you. Hey, Gail, real quick, is that dog situation fixed?
Oh, that's fine. It's fine. Okay, so 2 things. Number 1, I'm a conservative. I listen to you every day, but I have 2 criticisms. Number 1, stop saying gosh damn. It sounds too much like the other.
Why should I stop saying that?
Because it sounds profane. You're a Christian. You shouldn't be talking like that.
Gosh? Oh, my gosh? Don't you understand what I'm doing? Oh, my gosh. It's not profane. All right, don't go away, Gail, because I can't wait to hear the other criticism.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We are back, and everything is fine. Everything is good. Everything is beautiful, actually. Am I worried about the Iran war, rather? I know a lot of people want me to be worried, and they want to portray this as the worst possible thing. And who's telling that story? The New York Times and failed national security analysts and advisors under Democrats. Jake Sullivan has been out there saying this war is totally lost, and the best President Trump can do is to sign on to a deal that we had 5 years ago. And I can't believe that these guys are attempting to drive the conversation about Iran, especially Jake Sullivan. Jake Sullivan has screwed up virtually everything he's ever touched. There are guys like this. You know, when you're in politics and when you've gone to the right schools, and for him, I think he's gone to Yale undergrad and Yale Law School, right? And when you look that little wussy way that he looks, you know, which is, you think he must be smart, but he's smart in a very non-charismatic way, so he won't be a threat to the person he works for, right? Because, you know, politicians, they can be very vain and shallow and also insecure because a lot of them aren't that smart. You know, this is just another way to be talked about, to be in the focus of attention. That's what they want. It's not about helping people. So you got Jake Sullivan out there trying to say that President Trump, that the war is doomed. And a lot of them are citing a New York Times story from yesterday that says of the 33 missile sites that are key in Iran, we only destroyed 3 of them. Well, I don't believe that. Okay, number one, I just don't believe it. And they say they're citing intelligence documents and intelligence people. Now, you can get an intelligence person to say anything. You really can. And you can look at intelligence data, intelligence reports, right? First of all, it's written in gibberish, right? It's really gibberish. It's like, we think there is a 10% probability that there is a 20% probability that there is a moderate certainty that there are 30 systems that are still in effect. What? You know, it's literally written like that. It's written to confuse the consumer and to protect the producer. So if they are vague and opaque and contradictory and all over the place, you know, you start to think, well, maybe it's me. I mean, maybe I'm just not good at reading this intelligence stuff. This is really how they do it. They intimidate presidents. They intimidate people from the outside with their gobbledygook. But their gobbledygook is just that. It's gobbledygook. The problem isn't me. It isn't you. It's them. They produce it that way. It also helps in, like, okay, if nothing is clear cut, then nobody can ever blame us for anything, right? They're never going to say, as George Tenet, the director of the CIA, once said to George W. Bush's face, it's a slam dunk that there are weapons of mass destruction. No. They will never stick their neck out like that again. It'll always be, there is a 10% chance that there is a 90% chance of moderate certainty of possible presence of the traces of uranium. And they just never, and the other thing is, since they can never be called on it, right? And they create this camouflage, this intellectual camouflage that they're better than they are, right? And this stuff appears very complex, so it takes a lot of people to create it. Very interesting. So from that morass, from that mess of deep state operatives who have contempt for the elected people, the elected leaders, and the people who elected them, they leaked to the New York Times that President Trump has been completely ineffective in this Iran conflict. Now, that tells me he's been completely effective. Literally, they have been wrong and are wrong on everything. Everything. So I am confident. Now, there are some things that are worrisome. Number one, our battleships and our ships, right? If they sink one of our ships, and to be honest, I mean, I want to talk like academically and intellectually. I don't want to lose a battleship. It would be terrible, right? I mean, but if we lost a battleship, it wouldn't be catastrophic. It shouldn't be catastrophic, but it would be catastrophic. Obviously catastrophic for the battleship and the crew. I don't want to lose anybody, right? But if we did, you know, we have, 300 to 400 ships. If we lost one of them in a conflict of this duration, would that mean it was all not worth it? From a geopolitical standpoint and the way the world talks to each other, right? Yeah, it would. It would probably have been because of the way they would talk. But in history, I mean, he might be redeemed in history. To me, the Iran war has been totally justified by the Iranians' behavior since this damn thing started. Right? Now, I didn't really, I don't think much about Iran on a day-to-day basis. But when I thought, I haven't thought of them all that much since they took our hostages in 1979. Hey, can I go back to the White House for a second? Because Vance is taking questions, and this is always good. And Dr. Oz is right over his shoulder. And let's listen.
We want to get there. We want to work with these guys. You heard Dr. Oz say this earlier. I've looked at the numbers myself. It's true. If you just deal with the fraud issue, you can prolong the Medicare and Medicaid trust funds well into the future. So it does have a significant budgetary impact, whether that's hundreds of billions of dollars or maybe even more. We're not going to know until we do the work, but we're going to do the work.
Yeah, if I could on China.
Let's do one question from each person. Go ahead. We can do both, you guys. You guys can fight for who goes first.
Sure. Mr. Vice President, Reagan Reese with the Daily Caller. What's your reaction to the alleged home health fraud in Ohio, and why do you think this is happening in a red state? And just a question of clarification. You mentioned that some states aren't cooperating. What does that look like? Are they not responding to your calls? Are they stonewalling you guys? If you could expand on that.
So I'll let Dr. Oz go into the details a little bit, but on the Ohio issue in particular, look, this happens everywhere. We're a big country. Hundreds of billions of dollars goes out the door every single month from the federal government. And inevitably, you're going to have people who try to take advantage of it. What bothers me is not that you have a few fraudsters out there. It's that the government hasn't taken seriously pushing it back. You're always going to have bad people. You're always going to have a few bad apples try to take advantage of the system. What's so unique about this country until recently is that we didn't take that seriously. We didn't try to push back against the fraud, and that's what's changed. When I talk about cooperating with these various states, and again, we've had some good cooperation with both red states and blue states, it's very context specific. But for example, let's say that we know we have a number of fraudulent Medicare or Medicaid providers. Working with the federal government to identify who those are, to kick them off the rolls so that when those companies, those fraudulent companies submit a reimbursement, they don't actually get any money in return. Now, sometimes the federal government has a better perspective on that. Sometimes the states do. But that's one example of ensuring that local providers that are fraudulent are not able to get reimbursed or not able to get access to the resources. That's just one example. Dr. Oz, I'm sure you probably have 100 more in that brain of yours.
Sure, please. Very succinctly, Minnesota, which we announced the deferment there when the Vice President and I were in this room several months ago, sued us. And we're trying to get them to wake up to a problem. The amount that we deferred was a small percentage of their rainy day fund. They sued us and sought a temporary restraining order. That's not what a partner does. The judge did not give them a temporary restraining order. We're going to California now in part because we couldn't get them to respond on things that we think they should have taken proactive steps on. If they've been warned for at least 4 years by their own auditor general that there's a massive problem with hospice and they don't deal with it, it pollutes the entire ecosystem. It creates corruption that rots the foundation of who we are. So on the 19th of December, after it had gone through all the different processes, the State Department of Health in California was going to mandate by the first of the year that you cannot have more than one hospice per provider. This is a red flag issue. Why would a doctor need to have 20 hospices? You have one hospice, do it right. They need 20 hospices because they're taking bribes, they're selling their license and their soul.
Oh my
For
God.
reasons we don't understand, and I'd love to pose that right here to the state of California, someone very senior in their government pulled down that rule, never let it issue, and we never got help from them. That's why we went out the first week of January to say, what's going on here? And we find out that, as the Vice President mentioned, the Medicare Fraud Detection Unit sometimes are not being enabled to do their jobs.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of behaviors that people take when they're trying to hide the ball.
So he is so spot on. Man, I love Dr. Oz. Great stuff. All right, Gail, you were in the middle of a critique. I say gosh damn. I don't say the other one. Gosh damn is not. Oh my gosh. That's not vulgarity. That's not profanity. That's a substitute. I don't say, you know what I mean? Don't you understand now?
I do. I know that, but I'm just saying it's like too close of a substitute.
I tell you what, that you say that, and you're not the first one to complain about it. Tells me that because sometimes I feel like, let's face it, saying the other one really gets the point across. But you're not supposed to say that, so I don't. I say gosh damn. Gosh damn, and quite frankly, saying gosh damn apparently has teeth. It has teeth. It makes people uncomfortable a little bit. It makes you sense the extent of my fury. Gosh damn it. All right. So what else, Gail?
Okay. Has anybody ever told you that you are a troll?
Me? Who, me? A troll? Well, I do kind of like to troll sometimes. Are you a part of the trolling community? By trolling community, yeah, I yes, and I guilty as charged at times. Yeah, it's fun online on X, if you will. Gail, I'm not offended by that. I don't know if you mean to offend. I don't know what you mean by a troll. A troll is somebody who's President Trump trolls. President Trump trolled Mitch McConnell today. Did you see that? It was brilliant. He comes what? He is the troll commander. For sure. I know. I've learned a hell of a lot from him. It's fun. And also, look, the Bible says treat others as you would be treated yourself, right? And to be honest, when I go on X, I love the feedback. I love the criticism. I love it even more than the people who agree with me. They're interesting. They're fun. I mean, don't go to the argument club if you don't want to have an argument. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what we're there for. So it's okay. Other than that, Gail, are we meeting your radio needs?
Yes. I listen every day.
All right. What kind of dog was that?
He's a mutt, and I also have 2 little mini dachshunds.
Yeah. Those hot dog dogs, right?
Oh, yeah.
I love them. I love them. Even the mutt, too. I love it. I grew up with Spike. I miss him so much. I love that dog. Thank you so much. To be continued, Gail. Let's try Rob in Connecticut. Hello.
Well, hello, Greg. How are you?
Good.
Okay. I'm really excited that you're going to run for Senate and you're going to win.
You think?
I think Chuck Schumer, his time is over. You are a man of substance, and you're doing what I think most people won't do. And I'm going to read a little poem that I used to hand out when I was a printer. The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that our aim is too low and we reach it. Create your future.
Wow, that is a great quote. Who said that?
Author unknown. I don't even know. I used to print. I used to print a lot of business cards, and I would hand it out.
I love it.
I want to know more about how I can help you and raise money in Connecticut for your
All right, Rob, thank you. Look, we probably got to stop talking about it because if I talk about it too much on the radio, they'll come get me, and then they say, "Hey, do you want to be a candidate?" Look, I'm going to take a good hard look at it. Now, I'll tell you one thing that would discourage me from running, Rob, is if Schumer doesn't run for re-election. Because believe it or not, I believe he is the most beatable. He's beatable. Now, if we have new blood in there and it's a jump ball Democrat primary and all that stuff, that makes it harder for me. But there's not everybody's going to take on Schumer. I will also have to factor in my family, my finances, my leisure time. Not that I need much leisure time, but it's going to take up a lot of my time. I'm going to factor it in. All right. So if I don't do it, it won't be because, I can't be a senator. That's so lofty. In many ways, I don't want to be a senator. You know what I mean? It's not that, but I so appreciate your enthusiasm and your inspiration. Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome.
All right. All the best. What a nice guy. We got one more call. Susan, hello.
Hi, Greg. I am so pleased that you are going into this Becerra guy. He also, when he was head of Health and Human Services, which controls the rules around immigrant children, so he was involved. Their role was to vet the adults that these kids were, coming in with or being sent to, and it turned in he did not do that. He was totally absent from that, or if he did do it, he certainly did a terrible job because it was more than 85,000 kids that were lost. They're saying like 300,000, and that Holman and Trump are, every day they're finding more.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, ever notice that some of these people in Eastern Europe, you see these videos online and they have like the most exotic pets? I know we had Joe Exotic here in America, but they have like mountain lions and stuff like that. And, you know, they just curl up with them on the bed, and tigers and stuff. I would love to do that, but I never will. I always think of Siegfried and Roy. Remember those guys with those Siberian tigers, the white tigers? And they loved them, and they raised them, and they were so, they just could get them to do pretty much anything, from ride a bike to do basic algebra. And it was just wild to watch. And then one day, I don't know, the tiger woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or Siegfried did, or Roy did, and the tiger mauled the guy half to death. So I will never do that. And sometimes they open it to the public. You can go. Now, the possible exception is a cheetah. So cheetahs are actually quite gentle, and they don't really want to mess with humans. They just have no interest in that. They're very gentle, and they're in a way, I don't know what the hell it is, but I see a lot of people petting cheetahs. And you know how you tell a cheetah, right? They're super duper fast, but when they slow down, and they can slow down like that, right? They can slow down. And when they do, you look at their heads and they have like black teardrops coming out. It's really something to behold. Oh, Carlos, what do we have here? This is that thingamajig I would love for you to play. You're running for a governor and you make these town hall meetings and stuff like that. You never know what's going to happen. This is Tom Steyer, who's a very rich man. And it's all a prank, but he's right in the middle of his town hall, and a guy who's got he's all disheveled and he's limping and he's got a crutch. Go ahead.
Let me give you some examples of how big it is.
Listen 1 second. Tom Steyer hit me with his car in the parking lot. He ran over me and I'm injured and I don't know what to do.
No.
He ran over me with his car and I'm injured.
Has this ever happened to you? You might be entitled to a large cash sum. Call me the Fixer Lawyer. Visit www.thefixerlawyer.com.
The other guy's just waiting to stand up. I got more to say about the FBI. We'll have big China review coming up later. Maybe not on this Sean Duffy. People don't like what I've said, but I've said what I've said. All right. If I was going to be as vicious as I was, appropriately so, to Pete Buttigieg, I can't let Sean Duffy go off and do a reality show demo reel, on our time. It's just the silliest thing. It's the silliest thing. He doesn't belong in that job anymore. As we wrap things up, very quick, Paulie, hi.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Good.
I'm sitting on the Throgs Neck Bridge in traffic, and I was just listening. I was thinking of Dominic Carter, and I was thinking about Rudy Giuliani and President Trump. Dominic could be the next Rudy Giuliani if he would step up to the plate. We need somebody like him.
Well, here's the problem. Dominic Carter lives in Rockland County. All right, doesn't live in the city. How's traffic on the Throgs Neck? Bad?
Yeah, President.
Look over at the Whitestone. How is that? Often the Whitestone's better than the Throgs Neck. How's that?
It's a beautiful view. It's a beautiful
wonderful,
view.
Wonderful. Thanks for calling with your observations.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?